Well, hello there from the Tiny Tudor UK edition, where we're here, and the next few videos we're going to take you through building our brand new model, which is the Nomad. Now, I've got a lot of friends, a lot of colleagues, they're all really interested in this one. This is the one that's going to be like the giant sized shepherd's hut. And I know a lot of people obviously are interested in shepherd's huts in the UK, especially in the southwest of England, which is exactly where we've based ourselves. So we're going to start off by taking you down to the trailer, which is actually our own design of trailer. We brought it over from the Thai workshop, and this trailer is available from us if it's this type that you want to order. It's exactly what you've seen in our videos before. It is the detachable trailer where your chassis, your rolling chassis, completely separates away from the house base, which is the top here. So that's going to leave your house basically freestanding, and then your trailer can go away to do off whatever we want to do. An idea that we've done before here with these trailers is to park them alongside of the house, and then you deck on top of that to actually become a balcony, which is a nice addition to go on top of the trailer. So we've got to start off with our trailer here with the build of putting in the belly pan. Now, the belly pan is zinc coated, so it's rust proof, and the belly pan will actually stop obviously any stone chips that might come up if you're traveling along the road, but it also makes a very nice water seal for the base of your house. And I don't see a lot of the companies putting in any sort of belly pan. I've looked at quite a few static caravans and they're just open beams, which is a bit of a surprise for me. So I think this zinc plated belly pan is a very, very good idea, especially if you want longevity of your house. So we've got to start off by actually cutting the panels. So we've got to measure between the beams here, cut those panels and put them into place. You can see that demonstrated here. We actually screw everything into place. These are also zinc coated screws, so they don't go rusty either. And then using panel glue, we bead in all of the joints, and that will act for two parts. That will make a water seal, and it will also glue all of the panels into place. So once you've got all of your belly pan in place, like we have there all the way down through, I like to leave it about a day, which gives enough time for the actual bonding to go off, and then actually go ahead with the insulation the day after. Just makes it more easy. You don't want all this sticking and tacking all over the insulation. It just makes a total mess. So we're going to use the 5 centimeter thick polystyrene boards for the insulation, and we will actually test the U value, the insulation value of these in a later video, because I want to make sure that we're always up to the building regulations. You know, when I was building in Thailand, things weren't so strict, but here in the UK we want to always maintain that building regulation. So this is the standard building. It's used on the building sites all over the place here in the UK for your polystyrene, and it is also the fireproof polystyrene. So that means it won't go up on flames if you were to put a lighter next to it or something like that, you know. So this is standard UK building insulation, and it does have a very good U value, I've got to say. Oh, and courtesy of my local kebab shop, which is nice and easy for cutting all of these panels, I've got a spare kebab knife. I go down there a little bit too much for my dinners, and he very nicely gave me one of his knives, and honestly it cuts through this just like butter. You know, very, very nice, easy blade to use. So in between the rain showers, because English summers, you know exactly what they're like, let's put all the insulation in, and then we will put a water resistant plywood on the top of it. They'll actually get screwed into position into these beams, and that becomes the base and the floor that you actually walk on. So let's see how we get on with it. Okay, I'll explain this one really quickly. The plywood that we're using here is actually water resistant. You can see the black coating over the top of it. It's like a plastic coating which gives it that water resistant leveling. But every time you make a cut on the plywood, clearly you're exposing the original wood, and water can actually get in through the gaps because plywood is many layers of wood and water can seep in through. Now I know some people like to use paint, but I prefer using the foil tape, and if you actually tape that completely over the joint, you can see it seals everything and there's no chance of any water getting in. Once everything's screwed down, it's a good idea to walk over the entire floor. Make sure that nothing is loose and none of the screws are popping through. If you're good, then you're all ready to move on to the next stage. With the floor all complete, I can now start putting in the walls. Now we're going to use the galvanised steel metal frame system. Now my fellow petitioners, metal frame petitioners, will know this system very well. But we're using this instead of timber because of the weight. Now believe it or not, I can actually have a stronger framework with the metal at a much lighter in kilos weight, which is absolutely superb for this kind of build. Now normally I'd be putting the track onto the floor if I was inside a house, and then a second track onto the ceiling, sliding the studs in the middle. But obviously in this situation we can't do it. We just don't have any sky hooks. So what we do is we make the complete wall up onto the trailer itself, which is now the perfect bench to work on, and then we will glue and screw each one of those partition walls into position. And then you'll notice we'll use some stabilizers then on the side just to make them upright. I'm starting to form the downstairs windows. Now they're basically formed the same way as a wall. You have the track at the bottom, at the top, and then you slide your C-studs in to create the wall frame. So it's basically having a mini wall below the window and then a mini wall above. So I'm cutting all the tracks into position here, and then I will slide those up to just below and just above the window. There we go, sliding it up in place. Now obviously you do pick up a lot of tricks. I've been doing this frameworking for somewhere around 30 years now, but it is fairly basic. Now we will frame around the outside of that with timber, so that when you're fitting your windows into position, you're not just fitting into the metalwork, you're also fitting into a timber backing. And we will reinforce everything a little bit later on, because we're going to be fitting double glazing UPVC windows, and they really are quite heavy. Next up here is the bedroom floor. Now this is a structural part. It's coming into the middle of the tiny house, so it's actually tying the walls together at the midway point. But again, I'm using the metal stud framework, but we will line that inside with timber because I want to create strength there to support anybody that's actually sleeping in the bedroom. Then on top of that, we will put plywood sheets in, exactly the same that we used for the floor. Downstairs framework complete, we're going to tow the tiny house outside of the workshop. Gives me a little bit more space to put a scaffold around the outside. Then we can install the upstairs walls and framework and then carry on with working with the roof. That brings this episode to a finish. I hope you've enjoyed us putting all this frame together and seeing exactly, well, what is behind the scenes, basically, how we build everything. And hopefully you've learnt something if you're building a tiny house for yourself. But I am going to leave you with a tip. Do not build these with a spirit level, because you're building on a trailer that's moving. So trust me, whatever you built this morning, you'll be changing it again tomorrow morning because the trailer moved. You have to build the entire framework with the biggest square you can get your hands on and a tape measure. If you square from the trailer and set all your framework in square, you will finish square. So that means if you've got a 2.4 base on your trailer, your roof will end up being 2.4 as well. So that's the best tip I could ever give you for building framework of a tiny house. So join us next time round, where we're going to put all the house wrap and we will actually put all the cladding on the outside. So I'll see you next time. I'll see you then, see you there, and bye bye for now.